Hey guys, Becky here with Design Bundles, and I'm super excited to bring you a new project today. We have not done a lot of printables, but this one is definitely in request. I am talking about Waterslide Decal Paper, guys. Now, you don't have to have any special equipment other than Waterslide Decal Paper, a printer, and a pair of scissors, and maybe an oven, okay? All right, let's go ahead and get started.
All right, guys, you can't tell it because they're all stacked, but I already brought in some elements that I wanted to work with here. And I'm going to move these temporarily out of the way, and let me tell you why. I want to start with setting up my page setup. Now, obviously, I'm in Silhouette Studio. In case you haven't seen Silhouette Studio, welcome. This is Silhouette Studio. And this is just your basic page. So what I'm going to do on my page setup panel over here, I'm going to make sure it says Machine None, because I'm not going to set this up as a print and cut. What I love about Clear Waterslide is that I can trim it by hand and nobody knows the difference. So I'm going to use Machine None. Cutting mat will be none. And then my media size, I want to set to letter. The paper that I am using is letter size paper, so naturally that makes sense. Next, I want to measure my cup, which I've already done. And I know that I don't want my design more than 3 inches by about 3 inches. So I'm going to draw a rectangle. If you've seen any of my videos, that's kind of like my go-to sizing. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to size good old Santa here. He's the easiest part of the design. He came just like this. I did not have to modify him. Now you may be asking, and I've talked about this before in some of my other sublimation videos. I don't know if you've caught any of those, but when you're working with PNGs, and this is a PNG, what you want to look out for is, can you tell up here that it says that my design is 4.736 inches high? It's not, because that square that we just drew is 3 inches. What it's picking up is the entire size all the way around, and that can be misleading because Santa's on a transparent background, so you can't actually tell. So that's why I draw the box and I size my designs down that way. All right, so Santa is sized. Next, I want my background here, and I think I'm going to rotate this. No, maybe I'm not. No, I don't like it rotated. Just kidding. All right, so don't rotate that, but size it down. This is going to be a background. And same thing. See it saying it's 5 inches. It's not. It's not actually 5 inches. So I want to line it up with this square that we've drawn and get it sized down to my 3-inch mark. All right, so I can move that because I know that this is 3 inches, and I want to overlay this on there. Now, you may still be asking, well, Becky, why do you want to do that? Because you're going to get lost. Your text is going to get lost in there. Well, not really, because I'm going to create an offset. So let's get this positioned, and I can make this skinnier so it doesn't look so out of place. And then this here, so let's talk about it. Santa and the background are PNGs. This, okay, is an SVG. So I will be able to create an offset. But let me just show you, if you have a PNG that you need to make an offset for, you can go ahead and trace it. Especially something black and white like this, super easy. All right, so select trace. I always scale it down. Let me show you why. So I'm going to select both of these. So that is selected my trace and my original image. I'm going to hold down the shift key and just click on the inside black letter. And that's going to leave me selected just my offset. All right, so I can move that if I want to. I don't need to, but let's go ahead and fill that in with a color just so that we'll be able to find it later. Now, the reason we traced is because I want to create an offset and fill it in with white. So let's scale this down. I usually go about 0.03 on something this small. Yeah, that looks good. So hit apply and then hit your little group up here. That's what's going to keep it together. And we're going to fill this in with white. And we're going to change the line color to transparent. So now I can actually delete the red because I don't need that. And I can send this to back, and now I can group these together. And now whenever I line this up over my background, I have a white border around my design, and it makes it a lot easier to read. Okay, so I don't know if you guys were really signed up for that little designing lesson, but there we go, nonetheless. So group those together, get Santa back over here, and these are the two designs that I'm going to put on my mug today. I'm going to make this one just a tad smaller. Because remember that my background was 3 inches, but my text actually goes a little over and a little under, so size it down a little bit more. So you can put this anywhere within your print border. All right, you know your printer. I'm printing this on an inkjet printer, so I do have inkjet printable water slide. And then of course you can also print water slide on a laser if you have a laser printer. So just make sure whichever type of printer you're using, that you're using the right material. I do not need to mirror this, so I can print straight from Silhouette Studio. Now I just want to say that only for you guys am I wasting the rest of this paper, but normally if I were to print a water slide, I would fill the entire paper up so that I wouldn't be wasting it. So I'm going to print. Now, I also want to come in here. I personally will change my media type to glossy because this is glossy. And then my print quality to fine. Now, yours may have, different words that they use, but when I'm printing water slide, I use the glossy type and the fine print, and it's going to affect how much ink my printer puts out, okay? So I can just hit OK, hit apply, and hit print. Now, if you do not print very often from Silhouette Studio, I do want to show you one thing that you should always check, and I didn't this time, so cross your fingers, but you should really have your print border turned on because that's what's going to tell you where you can print based on the printer you have selected and the settings that are selected within that printer. So if you're ever having problems with maybe your design is printing landscape and you want to print it portrait or vice versa, then make sure you have your print border turned on, and that'll give you an indicator of where your printer is going to print at, okay? So I'm going to grab this off of my printer, and then we will go over to the work area to talk about prepping this print for putting on our project. All right, guys, so here is my printed design. And when you're printing on an inkjet printer, there's one more thing that you need to remember. You need to seal your ink to your water slide decal paper. All right, now what I have here is Mod Podge clear acrylic sealer. There is also a Krylon brand that a lot of people use. So from my understanding, either of those are fine as long as you're using an acrylic sealer. All right. Now what you're going to do, you got to watch this part very closely, okay? Because you're going to seal this 3 times. And here's what I do, and it works wonders for me. As a matter of fact, I tried to only do it 2 times once. Disaster. Okay. So you're going to take your sealer and you're going to spray it this way. Let it dry for an hour. Then you're going to take your sealer and you're going to spray it this way. And you're going to let that dry for an hour. And then you're going to take your sealer and you're going to spray it this way. And you're going to let that dry for an hour. And I know that just seems like so tedious, but that's why you try to do all of them at one time. And you have to do this before you cut them out. Now, I am not cutting with my Silhouette or my Cricut. I just printed this out. So what that means is you can print from any software and use this. So yay for that. But you definitely want to do the sealing before you do the cutting, either way, whether you're cutting with your machine or by hand with a pair of scissors. So I'm going to take these outside and then I will come back and I guess in 3 hours and we will continue our project. All right, kids, I'm back. So I have my water. Now this is lukewarm water. It's not hot water. It's not cold water. Lukewarm. I've got my mug, which I already had. And then I have my decals right here, all right? And my pair of scissors. So I'm going to start off by trimming the bottom.
And I still want to trim close. Like I don't want to trim, you know, super far away, because while this is clear, it's still, there's still times when you can see the film, all right? This isn't like sublimation where it's just going to blend right into the mug. This isn't absorbed by the mug. Now, if you are able to see the film and it really bothers you, then that's when you can use that print and cut. And there are situations where print and cut is going to be the way that you want to go. For example, they make white water slide decal paper. And of course, you would not want to trim that by hand because you're going to have a rough white edge. So just to kind of give you a heads up, make sure that you're buying the right kind of decal paper for your project. A lot of people use water slide decals for tumblers. Very popular in the tumbler industry right now. And I just want you to know that your process will be the same as what we're doing here, even if you're using it for a tumbler. The main difference is that we are going to bake ours on to our mug, whereas you guys will be able to seal with a layer of epoxy. All right, so there are my decals. Now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna move my water over, my lukewarm water. And I'm gonna put both of these in the water. Now they'll curl up, and I just have the instinct like, no, don't curl up. But a lot of people just throw them in and they let them curl up and they're just fine. But I've always heard that you can tell when they're ready because they will relax back down and they will be relatively flat. Now, I did read the instructions. It says that should take about 60 seconds. And what you can do is you can pull this out and you can give it a little push. And if it slides, it's ready. So put this in place wherever you want it, get it lined up. All right, and then hold one side of it and you can slide the backing right out. Now it's important to make sure that your fingertips are wet. Some people will use a silicone brush, but I just use my fingertips and I work my way around. You want to squeeze out any excess water and any creases that you have. All right, you don't want any creases. Now this is a tapered mug, so I am going to go in, and you'll run into this if you're using it on a tapered tumbler also. I'm going to go in and make some relief cuts because of my tapered edge. So what that means, I keep these little box cutters handy, but you can use an X-Acto knife too. And I'm just going to cut into my film in what I'm going to call strategic locations. Now, whether actually strategic or not, I guess will be seen. But I always have good luck with those little relief cuts. All right, so once you get it smoothed out, you're going to come in with a paper towel and dry it off. And you want to be very careful. You don't want to, ruin all your hard work. Now, I think it's important to be said. You see me handling this a lot, but there is a point where if you handle it too much, then it'll start to almost disintegrate. Okay, so can you guys see that? Awesome, right? So now I have to do the other side. And that's why I really love this little tripod thing I got going on here. A little cup holder. Because I can turn this over without my decal coming into contact with the other side. The only thing that you really have to worry about is, as I'm putting water on here, water may drip around to the other side. So we'll just have to check that decal again before we're done. So this decal is obviously done. It's moving around very freely. So let's get this positioned and slide the back out. Now some people, they just pull their decal straight off the backing and slap it down, but I'm not quite that brave, I guess. So I'm going to bring this one up a little higher. Also, there is a disclaimer, especially if you're going to sell these, that the water slide decal paper is not food safe. All right. So what that means is that you're supposed to leave enough room around the lip of your mug or whatever it is that you're using so that it doesn't come in contact with somebody's mouth. So I'm still doing my little relief cuts. I'm just trying not to go over the text when I do it. Also, if you're going to do relief cuts, please make sure that you have a sharp blade. All right, you cannot do this with a dull blade. And I try to do it in places that it won't be that obvious. So if you can at least start out with mugs. Did I tell you this is a dollar store mug? So they're great to practice on, but if you can get the ones that are not tapered, they are straight up and down, then you will have much better success with not having to use those relief cuts or some type of skinny tumbler. They work really good on those too, okay? So if the relief cuts worry you, get a flat surface. You know what's really good practice on? White ceramic tiles from your local home improvement store. See how this side has water on it again? That's okay. We'll forgive it, but we just want to get that water back off of there. So you're going to want to give this 3 hours to dry. All right, so we're going to let it dry for 3 hours, and then we're going to put it in the oven and fully cure this water slide decal on here. All right, so there's the other side. Freshly brewed Christmas spirit. All right, I like it. So let's give it that time, and then I'll show you guys what it's like to put it in the mug. And I'll show you what it's like to put it in the oven. All right, guys, are we ready to put this in the oven? So this is my mug, the same one you just saw me put together. Now this is it's a convection oven, but any type of oven will work. But from what I understand, don't forget, and I haven't double checked this in particular with Waterslide Decal Paper, but you don't want to do this in your food oven, all right? So once you have an oven, whether it's a convection oven or whatnot, that you have used for crafting, you're not supposed to go back and use it again for food. So yes, you could go from food to crafting, but you can't go from crafting back to food, okay? So we are at 250, and I'm going to bake this for 15 minutes, okay? All right, fingers crossed. All right, guys, our 15 minutes is up. Let's open this baby up and see what we think. Now, obviously, I got my oven mitt here, right? I want to make sure that I don't burn myself. Always good for any craft. Don't burn yourself. And then this is actually from my little baby Cricut Easy Press. Ooh, I love it. I love it. And I'm happy to report, not that it was really bad to begin with, but once you bake this on and cure it on, that line around it is a lot smaller as well. So I'm gonna let this cool off, and I'll let you guys know what I think. Well, guys, how do you feel about my Waterslide Decal mug? Obviously, I've let it cool, and I just want to say it is really, really smooth. And one thing that we didn't really talk about is why you would want to use Waterslide Decal Paper for a mug. The answer is this is a much smoother and I feel like more permanent alternative to printable vinyl or trying to layer this in vinyl, okay? So you get really full, pretty watercolor style results or patterns and textures that you normally wouldn't get with regular vinyl. And this is going to last longer, in my opinion. You know, we're talking about some gentle hand washing going on, but this is going to last longer than vinyl. It's going to be this is going to be the closest you can get to sublimation without doing it with sublimation. All right. So for a dollar store mug and, you know, maybe a couple dollars worth of supplies, definitely under, $4, you can have a full color mug to give as a gift or make for yourself. I don't know that I would sell them. Okay, not that you can't sell them, but I don't know that I would sell the mug just because some people's expectations tend to be a little high. All right, they're going to expect sublimation results from a water slide decal, because that's how it looks. That's how good it looks in the photos, is you're really gonna believe like, hey, that is really on the mug. Anyway, I'm getting lost in translation here, but what I want to say is it's a really cool trick. You're really going to like it. There are a lot of surfaces that you can use water slide decal paper on. It's very, very popular for tumblers, which, you know, get under a layer of epoxy, so you don't even have to worry about the baking. So lots and lots of reasons why you want to get to know water slide decal paper a little better. Now, if you guys have any questions about what we've done in the tutorial, or you want to make some video requests or anything along those lines, please make sure you leave that in the comments below. Also, I ask in return if you would just give us a quick subscribe, maybe share with a friend. That's going to keep us bringing you these awesome videos, okay? Thanks again, guys. I'm going to wrap it up, but I'll see you next time.